You've asked for it, and now, loyal fans, you've got it. We finally answered your calls, but the real question is, can you handle it? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Scott here, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 build. Today we're going to be taking a look at the long-awaited survival build with the Survivalist. While you're undoubtedly catching your breath from excitement, let's get some formalities out of the way. This survival build we at FudgeMuppet have put together has obviously been made for anyone daring enough to dip their toes into the all-new survival mode. We've anticipated it to be something of an acquired taste and definitely not for those lacking in patience. The early stages of this build will be quite a challenge to play, like many survival characters at the start, so don't be alarmed if you find yourself battling uphill. With this in mind, the initial in-game handicap will, however, strengthen your character. Much like training in a hyperbolic chamber or whatever comparison non-Dragon Ball Z fans use, your character will eventually be able to withstand all manners of hardship regardless of terrain or circumstance. You have been warned. Now to the fun stuff. The Survivalist is an inherently compassionate individual in a world where compassion is a luxury of the distant past and humanity has gone out the window. She is constantly fighting to make sure that both she and those in search of community endures, specifically those who cannot fend for themselves and otherwise would perish. Unwilling to be reduced to a product of her environment, she sets out to establish safe havens where common folk can thrive with the basic human necessities of food, clean water, shelter, as well as being free from radiation, diseases, and other post-apocalyptic concerns. The Survivalist fosters trust with settlers seeking to reboot society and determined to recreate the pre-war life she and many others had become accustomed to for the future generations. This shining idealism comes with a grain of sorrow, as at the end of the day, all she truly wants in her heart of hearts is to see her father and be with her family again. This build is extremely versatile and is perfect for those of you who are keen to mix things up when it comes to combat. This build will also be explained differently in comparison to our other builds in the perks section, broadening the spectrum of choices in the later stages of the game. Essentially, we were able to accomplish all that this build required before level 50, and if you've played enough survival mode, you'll understand there's more than one way to skin the cat. To see this build in action along with a few others, follow the links in the description and keep an eye out for our new Let's Plays. We've recently created a few Fallout 4 Let's Plays that have been a whole lot of fun, so go check those out. You can click the annotations on the screen now if you're keen. Follow us on Snapchat and Twitter for a few laughs and behind the scenes content, and if you haven't already done so, throw us a like and subscribe. Go on, it's free, all of it. No lie. So let's get started then. The Survivalist was born in Boston as an only child to a middle-class couple who had struggled with infertility and numerous miscarriages before her birth. Naturally, her parents saw her as a miracle baby, the girl who they were told should not have existed, but fought her way through medical complication after complication. Their love of her often reflected this. In her youth, the Survivalist had a very close relationship to her father, as they often spent time together out in the great outdoors of Massachusetts. Every weekend, these moments of father-daughter bonding would range from camping, fishing, hunting, and rock climbing. The exposure to such a variety of physical activities meant the Survivalist was almost always at peak human fitness, beyond the expected limitations of her age. Optimistic about the healthy growing specimen that was their daughter, her parents decided it was worth a shot to try for another baby in spite of previous issues. It was during yet another failed childbirth that the Survivalist lost a would-be brother, and this time her mother. Devastated by this loss, she kept herself locked in a room for weeks on end. This was until she was pulled from her personal darkness by the light of her father, the man who loved her the most and all that she really had left in the world. Together they reignited her passion for the great outdoors, learning to respect nature, to only take when it was essential, and to give back whenever she could. As a lifelong lover of animals, she would never hunt without putting her kill to good use, never overstay a single location to the point of damage, and soon she became proficient in wilderness survival. Hunting and camping were of course gateway outdoor activities which would lead to honing vital skills for post-vault life. The Survivalist also devoted much of her time to learning about the flora and fauna of specific ecosystems, seasonal patterns of specific geographies, and how to combat the threats Mother Nature was capable of. At school, her idealism and moral compass was evident, almost to a fault. In the playground, she would always stand up for what was right, defending those being bullied, even if it meant she was putting herself in harm. In her heart and in her mind, she had won simply by supporting another in need. The Survivalist wasn't an exceptional student, although she was always happy and very enthusiastic when it came to tackling knowledge she found practical. That being said, father didn't raise no fool, as after she finished high school, the Survivalist ended up pursuing a law degree and even passing the bar. Her professional ambition was to work in legal aid and continue helping the helpless. Throughout all this, the survivalist maintained a close relationship with her father, who had retired to an isolated cottage in the woods. During her time working in legal aid, she met a man who had recently been discharged from military service and was looking to resume his legal career. Their personalities were a surefire match, both standing for justice and motivated to serve the greater good. They soon fell in love and got married, eager to start branching out their family tree. The survivalist's life seemed like it had hit its stride, and the tragedies of yesterday were beginning to fade. In place, a brighter chapter was to be written. When the bombs fell, she was rushed to Vault 111 with her family. As the doors shut, she realized her father would not make it to a vault in time. Heartbroken, she entered cryo-freeze, and the rest is history. Upon reanimation from the cryo chamber, the survivalist faced some minor brain damage from a botched procedure. Although she retained the majority of her previous knowledge, it was almost immediately evident that her mind was somehow dulled. Memorizing and internalizing new information would prove a larger challenge than ever before. Entering the wasteland, the grief of losing her child, her husband, as well as her father hit with full impact. Her world, as she knew it, had ended. The only thing preventing her from spiraling into crippling depression was a single damaged neural impulse: survive. The survivalist ventures forth with the objective of recovering her son while rebuilding civilization on the way. She encounters the Minutemen and will ultimately side with them. Similarly to her former life, she stands for equality, justice, and freedom of life. The mere notion of human life thriving positively in a peaceful union brings her immense joy, hence the safe havens she will build. It goes without saying that the survivalist opposes authoritarian organizations such as the Brotherhood of Steel, who impose their will onto others with the use of force and seek to dominate with control. The start game special stats for the survivalist are going to be 5 strength, 1 perception, 1 endurance, 6 charisma, 1 intelligence, 9 agility, and 5 luck. Obviously her intelligence has been damaged in the vault, and her endurance has also taken quite the toll. Obviously her agility and strength fit in well with her backstory, and her charisma reflects her kindness and enthusiastic nature towards interaction. Regardless of role-playing purposes, let's discuss why we have chosen these stats for survival mode. So from playing a lot of survival mode, it's clear that you die quite easily. Even with 10 endurance and high resistances, you can be killed very quickly, and because of this we decided it was best to avoid damage altogether. This is going to help you with avoiding diseases and radiation that you get from coming into contact with wasteland threats. So we've gone with 1 endurance so we can allocate perk points towards more important stats. One of those stats is agility, and this stat will allow you to access some awesome perks such as Blitz, Ninja, Sneak, and Mr. Sandman. This will allow you to build a very VATS-intensive character that can kill from the height. This allows you to build a very VATS-intensive character that can kill from a hiding spot far away using a sniper, and also kill up close using stealth melee attacks. We've got high luck for the Idiot Savant perk to help us with leveling, and this is useful as we want to get as many great perks as possible as fast as possible. It will allow us to use critical hits more often, and this is great not just for damage but also because critical hits don't miss. Having 6 charisma will allow us to get great deals and be persuasive, but very importantly it allows the survivalist to set up many successful settlements using the local leader perk. This will give you a place to sleep, eat, drink, and socialize. Strength is going to be 5, but soon become 6 as we get this special book in Sanctuary. Strength will give us access to the strong back perk and will help us significantly with our carry weight needs and all of our melee damage. We don't need any more strength than this due to our low amount of gear and our sneak melee multipliers. Overall, this build wants to avoid damage and will deal tons of it without being discovered through the use of stealth and patience. You'll also be covered for all your survival mode wasteland needs due to your cautious playstyle and abundance of settlements. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, the perk section of this video will be a bit different. We'll be telling you all the perks we chose up to level 33, and then things start getting weird. Basically from here we'll be finishing off our perk ranks at particular levels, but the perks chosen in the levels in between are up to you. We've done this to give you a lot more flexibility and also to accommodate for any changes in upcoming DLC. For example, if a DLC were to add new perks or perk ranks, you would be able to incorporate them into this build. Anyways, this build starts off with the Idiot Savant perk so she can start leveling up a lot faster. The first rank of this perk gives you a random chance to receive 3 times as much XP for doing something. The lower the intelligence, the higher the chance. We then get the Ninja perk straight away so we can cause more sneak attack damage, and this is perfect for this build's playstyle. You want to kill your enemies before they damage you, as in survival mode, a little damage turns into a lot very quickly. With 1 rank of Ninja, ranged sneak attacks will do 2.5 times as much damage, and melee sneak attacks will do 4 times as much. At level 4, the Survivalist gets Blitz, and at level 29, we get the second rank of this, which makes this build very powerful. However, the first rank is still really useful. It will allow you to use the VATS to close the distance between you and your target with a long melee distance strike. And you'll want to combine this with Sneak. Sneak is chosen over levels 5 and 6, making you 30% harder to detect while sneaking, and it'll also mean you won't trigger floor-based traps. Following this, we're getting the first rank of Rifleman, and this will make your non-automatic rifles do 20% more damage. We didn't get this early nor big leagues, as we'll be doing heaps more damage by prioritizing sneak attack multipliers. Next is the Lone Wanderer perk, and this is useful as it allows you to take 15% less damage when you travel without a companion, and if traveling alone, it also gives you 50 more points of carry weight. This is incredibly useful for survival mode as enemies cause lots of damage and carry weight is lowered. The Survivalist will then get the second rank of Rifleman to cause 40% more rifle damage, and at this rank she will also ignore 15% of target armor. Finally, at level 10 we get the first rank of Big Leagues, upping our melee damage by a helpful 20%. Next, it's time for the second rank of Idiot Savant. This rank gives you a random chance to get 5 times as much XP for doing something. The lower the intelligence, the higher the chance. This will allow the build to level up and get new perks quickly. However, we're still going to be getting the Intelligence Bobblehead for the Medic perk later on. At level 12 we get Sneak 3, and now you'll be 40% harder to detect and also won't trigger enemy mines. This is really helpful on survival mode as you can't save, and one mine could absolutely destroy your progress. Following this perk is the second rank of Big Leagues, causing your melee weapons to do 40% more damage and have a chance to disarm opponents. Action Girl is picked at level 14, and this is essential for helping with VATS use and sprinting away when you find yourself compromised and in trouble. At rank 1, action points regenerate 25% faster. Following this is Big Leagues 3, and this grants you 60% more melee damage and increases your melee disarm chance. At level 16, Ninja 2 is chosen, and this enhances the effectiveness of the build greatly. Your ranged sneak attacks will now do 3 times as much normal damage, and melee sneak attacks do 5 times as much. It's because of this we don't need maxed out strength. Next, the Survivalist will take 30% less damage and have her carry weight increased by 100 through the second rank of Lone Wanderer. Remember, this only works when traveling without a companion. Rifleman 3 is then picked at level 18, and at this rank non-automatic rifles will cause 60% more damage and they'll ignore 20% of target armor. We then invest in the second rank of Action Girl, giving this build 50% action point speed regeneration. The Survivalist will then change up her strategy with 2 ranks of Local Leader in a row, taking her through levels 20 and 21. With 2 ranks of this, you'll be able to set up supply lines between settlements to share resources. You'll also be able to set up shops and workstations at these settlements, and this will help you create prosperous areas for ordinary people to unite and spend time. It will also allow you to build places to eat, sleep, and drink all around the map. Moving into the 20s, we're going to be getting the first rank of Strongback at level 22. This adds 25 more points to your carry weight, and this is great on top of the carry weight from Lone Wanderer. We then get the 4th rank of Sneak to be 50% harder to detect, and at this rank running will no longer negatively affect stealth. It may not sound amazing, but that small change makes a lot of difference, especially on survival mode. We then get Strongback 2, giving the Survivalist 50 more points of carry weight. This is obviously great for hauling around some extra loot if you're needing more caps for settlement building, and Medic is the next perk choice, and also the next one, over levels 25 and 26. You will need the Intelligence Bobblehead by now. With 2 ranks of this, Stimpaks will restore 60% of your max HP, and right away will remove 60% of your max potential radiation. This is really useful for survival when things get tough and you do end up taking lots of damage. Next we go into more damage with Big Leagues 4, and at this rank you'll deal 80% more damage and be able to hit multiple targets in one swipe. This can turn out to be a real lifesaver if 2 enemies are standing incredibly close together and you can only target one. At level 28 we finally start investing in Mr. Sandman, and we left this till now for a few reasons. Firstly, we don't have gun nuts, so we can't build suppressors, and secondly, you may not have a silenced weapon yet, although you should, and thirdly, there were simply better perks to prioritize. That being said, this perk will still be a huge help, and at the first rank your silenced weapons will do an additional 15% sneak attack damage. Next we get a serious game changer, the second rank of Blitz. Now your VATS melee distance is increased even more, and the further your attack distance is, the more damage you will do. This is great for getting those instant kills from far away, preventing you from being discovered and taking damage. Finally, at level 30, we get the second rank of Mr. Sandman, causing silenced weapons to cause even more sneak attack damage, an additional 30% to be exact. At level 31, the Survivalist will be getting the fourth rank of Rifleman, and at this rank, rifles will do 80% more damage. They also ignore 25% of target armor, and they have a slight chance of crippling a limb. Next, we finish off the Mr. Sandman perk with rank 3, causing sneak attack damage with silenced weapons to be increased by a massive 50%. Speaking of maxing out perks, we then max out Ninja. With 3 ranks of this bad boy, ranged sneak attacks will do 3.5 times as much normal damage, and melee sneak attacks will do an insane 10 times as much. From here on out, things start to become a lot more flexible. Basically, we're going to finish perks when we can, but most of the choices are up to you. Remember that if any upcoming DLC include new perk ranks, then you can certainly choose those for this build. You can also dump points into stats that you find to be useful according to how you play. You'll know what you need after getting up to level 34 in survival mode. So basically levels 34, 35, 36, and 37 are all up to you, but at level 38 you'll want Sneak 5. Sneak 5 allows you to enter stealth mode to make distant enemies lose you, and this is perfect for fleeing an area when you're in serious trouble. Level 39 is up to you, and then at level 40 you'll finish off the Lone Wanderer perk. Lone Wanderer 3 is really powerful and makes you cause 25% more damage with everything and anything when traveling alone. At level 41, the choice is yours, and then at level 42, we're going to be getting Big Leagues 5, and at this rank, melee attacks will do double damage, and they'll have a chance to cripple your opponent's limb or grand slam their head clean off. It's a bit silly looking with a knife, but it's definitely powerful and worth having. At levels 43, 44, and 45, you can build this character the way you desire, and then at level 46, you'll need Rifleman 5. This will make attacks with non-automatic rifles do double damage and ignore 30% of target armor. They'll also have a slightly higher chance of crippling a limb. After this, the rest of the perks are up to you. The endgame special stats, including all the bobbleheads but not including the gear, are 7 strength, 2 perception, 2 endurance, 7 charisma, 2 intelligence, 10 agility, and 6 luck. Gear for the Survivalist will be kept very minimalistic and almost purely functional. We don't want to be encumbered by carrying too much extra gear as you have a limited carry weight in survival mode. We're going to be wearing a harness which you'll be able to find very early in the game off the corpses of raiders. This will also be a decent addition appearance-wise and also has a very low carry weight. We'll also be carrying a hazmat suit to protect us against radiation, which incidentally is also of a low carry weight. The hazmat suit could technically be worn for the whole game, however we at the FudgeMuppet team abide by a strict code of aesthetics and advise against it for the sake of looking cool. This is, of course, completely to your own discretion, so if you feel so inclined to wear this condom of fun throughout the entirety of your run, go for gold. The harness adds to the Survivalist's Lara Croft vibes, of which this build is a bit of a nod to. For weaponry, use what fits best with your perks early on. However, eventually your primary item will be Pikmin's Blade for melee and Overseer's Guardian for sniping. You will receive Pikmin's Blade, of course, after completing the Pikmin's Gallery quest, and it will be a perfect choice for close range kills, benefiting greatly from the Blitz perk. It will also help you conserve ammo and keep the entire ordeal hush-hush. Overseer's Guardian is a modified combat rifle that you will have to buy from Vault 81. It is quite expensive, so be sure to save up those caps. Overseer's Guardian is an automatic weapon and is not silenced when first purchased. As a result of this, you will be forced to search for other combat rifles in the wasteland, trading different mechanical pieces and customizing in order so that you have a suppressor and make it non-automatic. You will be swapping and changing gun pieces as you find from other guns due to a lack of the gun nut perk. The Survivalist will also be carrying stealth boys that she finds, which will prove useful in turning invisible, thereby enhancing this character's stealth capabilities. Be sure to carry enough food and water for those extended walkabouts away from settlements in order for, what's the word now? Survival, that's right. While the Survivalist does find comfort in the company of others, no companions shall be had as they provide minimal aid, slowing her down as an experienced outdoorswoman, and will in fact compromise the stealth playstyle of this build. A paramount tenet to the Survivalist's survival is reducing risk by traveling efficiently and unnoticed, as not to draw the unwanted attention and conflict. The presence of a companion would also interfere with the Lone Wanderer perk. work. The Survivalist will utilize a lot of settlements, as many as possible in fact. In keeping with her survival mentality, they will favor function over fancy as to preserve resources and not stand out too much. The primary concern with these settlements will just be to make sure they all have the necessities required for human life and definitely sleep-worthy beds to rest in. An overabundance of defense for all settlements will only be a secondary concern, the purpose of these communities being the integration of life rather than that of a paramilitaristic ambition. Resources will be communal due to the local leader perks, so settlements will have varying specialties. Some may hold massive farms and some may possess excess water purification. Like our content of Fat Jonah Hill, more is better. In regards to settlements, we urge you to expand. Really dive into this with a quantity over quality mindset. The Survivalist will want a number of rest and resupply checkpoints as fast travel is restricted in survival mode. And on that note of rest and resupply, we'll conclude this week's Fallout 4 survival build, The Survivalist. For more fascinating and innovative builds like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more quality and quantity. Throw us a like if you think we've earned it, and share this video around if you really think we've earned it. Be sure to check in with us for some Let's Plays in the near future of your favorite builds in action, and while you're at it, why not check us out on social media for a giggle, or if you just want to get some of your questions answered. Follow the links in the description. As always, I'm Scott, and we're looking forward to nerding out with you all again next time.